Autofill trends and series. We're going to use autofill to take some data points and extend a trend, both linear and geometric or growth series. We're going to use autofill to establish a step value that will become a value that's added to each successive data point for a linear series, and it's multiplied by each successive data point for a geometric or growth series. We'll also use the step value to advance dates, both in terms of number of days, the weekdays, and the months and the years. And we'll take some data points and convert those points along with extending a series based on those points, whereby autofill best fits a linear or geometric line. And like I said, we'll convert the data points on which that line is based and extend that series into our selected range. So autofill, I know some of the introduction may have been a little bit difficult to comprehend or understand. Hopefully we'll go through the examples and it'll make some sense here. So trends and continuing the trend. We have a simple trend. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 2 is 5. I'm going to select those data points, 1, 3, and 5, right-click to grab autofill, drag down, and select linear trend. Autofill takes the trend that's established by those first 3 data points, 1, 3, and 5, and extends it into the selected range. But it'll also establish a linear trend by using the first 3 data points as a basis to determine the line linearly that best fits those 3 data points, so that when I left-click linear trend, I get an extension of the trend that's established by 1, 2, and 4 by line that best fits those data points and also runs through the next 3 data points showing. A growth trend, same concept. Left-click and drag, right-click, drag down 3 cells, release, left-click growth trend. 1 times 2 is 2, times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, 1632, and so on. So again, autofill took the first 3 data points, determined a geometric progression, and extended that progression to our selected range. It'll do the same thing. Left-click and extend, left-click growth trend, by again determining a geometric curve that best fits 1, 5, and 7 that will continue and run through the next 3 data points showing. We also have the ability to establish a step value. If we begin with 1 as our data point, drag down, release, left-click series, we have some options in this box. The first option, series in, rows, columns. We want columns selected because that's the direction we're moving in. We could move across and select rows. The type is linear, which is the type that we want. And the step value by default is 1. I'm going to change that to 3. Left-click OK. And 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 3 is 7, and so on. We've used that step value to establish the fixed amount that's added to each data point to develop our linear trend. Left-clicking the next option, right-clicking and dragging down, again going to the series dialog box, this time selecting growth, and I'll make a step value again of 3. Left-click OK. And now, since this is a geometric progression or growth progression, we multiply by 3. 1 times 3 is 3, times 3 is 9, and so on. So we can use a step value to establish a linear or growth progression. There are also some options with the days of the week. Starting with Saturday the 15th, 2012, and dragging down, again clicking series. Excel is smart enough to know that we've selected a date. It has already selected that type for us. The default is day, and again we have the step value highlighted so that I can go in and put a number of days. I'll put 8. Left-click OK. And we have a series that's established by advancing 8 days each subsequent data point. Weekdays, right-click and drag, left-click Series. Again, Excel knows it's a date. I'll left-click Weekday and select 4. Left-click OK. And we advance 4 weekdays with each subsequent data point, ignoring weekends. Left-clicking the next example, right-clicking, dragging down, Series, this time the month, will advance 3 months at a time. Left-click OK. September, December, March, June, we're advancing a quarter of the year, each subsequent data point. And the years work similarly. Left-click and drag, Series, year, will advance 10 years. Left-click OK. And sure enough, that's what happens. The last option that we have with Autofill is to convert some data points into a series that extends into a selected range. Now, what the heck do I mean? I'm going to left-click and drag and select 1, 2, and 4. Right-click and drag down, release, left-click Series, and instead of the step value, I'm going to left-click Trend. And when I do that, notice I only have an option to select either linear or growth. I no longer can select date, and the other option, Autofill, I skip that because that's just the regular functionality of Autofill. But since I click Trend, the trend that's going to be used to extend this series is the trend that's going to be calculated on the basis of the data points that are there already, 1, 2, and 4. So whatever line that Excel determines best fits those data points, it's going to convert those data points and then extend the series to the next 3 vacant cells in our range. I'll left-click OK, and Autofill did just what I explained. It determined a line that would best fit the first 3 data points and converted those data points to that line and then extended the trend, filling the rest of the selected range. The growth series works the same way. Extend it down, select Series, select Growth and Trend. All the other options, except for rows and columns, is grayed out. Select OK. Autofill determined a geometric progression that best fit those first 3 data points, converted those data points so that it would fit on the line, and extended the trend to 3 more data points, filling in our selected range. Granted, this and the prior example are a bit difficult to intuitively determine because there's not simple math that's going on here. But the reason I didn't use numbers in the first 3 data points that would cleanly fit either a linear or growth progression is that when Autofill recalculated those data points and extended those data points, you wouldn't have seen the effect because the before and after for the first 3 data points would have been the same. So I wanted to begin with 3 data points that didn't neatly fit on either a linear or geometric line. So that's Autofill. We found that we could continue a trend, either a linear or growth trend, that Autofill determines by best fitting a line linearly or geometrically. We could establish a series, either a linear series or a geometric or growth series, by inputting a step value. There would be a fixed amount added to each prior value in a linear progression, or a fixed amount that would be multiplied by each prior value in a growth progression. We also found some flexibility with dealing with dates, where we could determine the amount of days skipped in a progression, or the days of the week that were skipped, or months or years. And lastly, we use Autofill to determine a linear and growth progression based on some established data points, where Autofill would then overwrite those data points and extend the trend established by the line that best fit those data points.